When today is unpredictable, you need sound advice and strong support to help you stay focused on your long-term financial goals for tomorrow. Together with an advisor from Rise Private Wealth Management, formerly Pell Wealth Partners, a private wealth advisor practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, you can plan your future while navigating your now. Ameriprise Financial has been guiding clients through challenging times for 130 years. You can take comfort in working with a financial advisor who's backed by that strong experience and who's there to guide you with personalized, goal-based financial advice. Call Rise Private Wealth Management today at 914-253-8800. That's 914-253-8800. Office is located at 800 Westchester Avenue, Suite 300 in Rybrook, New York, and 300 East 40th Street, New York City. Not FDIC or NCUA insured. No financial institution guarantee. May lose value. Securities offered by Ameriprise Financial Services, LLC. Member FINRA and SIPC. Welcome to Leadership Unleashed, the show that will explore the multifaceted world of leadership through insightful interviews, thought-provoking discussions, and practical advice from leaders throughout Westchester County and beyond. I'm your host, Dr. Marsha Gordon, President and CEO of the Business Council of Westchester. On today's episode of Leadership Unleashed, we're diving into a college on the cusp of an historic milestone. As Sarah Lawrence College approaches its centennial, the institution is reflecting on a century of progressive, student-centered education and reimagining what the next 100 years can look like in a world shaped by rapid technological change, shifting student needs, and new definitions of success. We're honored to be joined today by Dr. Cristle Collins Judd, president of Sarah Lawrence College, whose leadership is helping guide the college through this pivotal moment. From strengthening academic innovation to deepening the college's role in the Westchester community, President Collins Judd is focused on ensuring that Sarah Lawrence's distinctive approach to education remains both timely and timeless. In this episode, President Collins Judd will share how she's thinking about the future of liberal arts education, how Sarah Lawrence is approaching innovation, including artificial intelligence and career readiness, and how the college continues to center humanity, creativity, and connection in everything it does. Before we dive in, we'd also like to thank Westchester Medical Center for their support as the premier sponsor of the Leadership Unleashed podcast.
A lot goes into planning a birthday. For my daughter Cameron, it started with a stem cell transplant to cure her sickle cell disease. Yes, cure. Westchester Medical Center Health Network uses every technology, technique, and talented specialist to conquer diseases that could otherwise rob a child of childhood, helping my daughter and thousands of others at Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital. Happy birthday, Cameron.
Happy birthday.
WMC Health, advancing care here.
President Collins Judd, welcome to Leadership Unleashed. We're thrilled to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Marsha. It's terrific to be here with the Business Council of Westchester.
It's a tremendous honor for us. And we were just last week at the college to focus on our economic development guide, and so much enjoyed being there.
Well, it was
in
fabulous.
The beautiful Barbara Walters Center. It was fabulous.
Fabulous together with higher education leaders, and we were delighted to be able to host that for the importance of higher education in Westchester.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. So Sarah Lawrence College is celebrating your centennial in 2026. Here we are. What does this moment mean to you and to the college?
So this is a terrifically exciting moment for all of us. Sarah Lawrence was founded 100 years ago in 1926, welcomed our first students in 1928. And when Sarah Lawrence was founded, at a really critical moment, it was to be a different kind of institution providing a different kind of education. An education, as you referenced, that centered the humanities, that centered the arts, that centered the making of, the doing of, the creating of, in order to create lives of purpose and social impact. So as we look at our last 100 years and all that we've accomplished in those, it also is a springboard into our next 100 for how we think about at this moment. We do the timely work, educating students of all ages for this world at this moment with the timeless values that have always driven the Sarah Lawrence education.
It's so important. We know that this is the core value and core belief of the college. And the theme of the centennial in particular is timely education, timeless values. I love that. What does that mean in a world increasingly shaped by automation and artificial intelligence?
It is quite the moment as we try to understand the rapidity with which technology is changing. But the thing that Sarah Lawrence has always brought is the ethical, humanistic intervention connection with those scientific medical technologies. 50 years ago for the college, that was about creating the field of genetic counseling.
Yes.
When there was no such field available, and the college recognized that there was a critical need for an innovative educational program that would meet that impact. So fast forward 50 years, we're at a similar moment of a kind of intervention when we know that the critical piece that has to go with artificial intelligence is that humanistic, ethical perspective, that creative work that knows how to use AI to move to the next way, but always it understands the human is embedded. So our graduates are prepared for that world because they know how to think critically, they know how to communicate, they know how to ask hard questions, they know how to evaluate the tools in front of them, and ultimately to move those forward into new and exciting ways that none of us have yet imagined.
It really is liberal arts education, and I don't know if that's still a word that's being used, but is so much the foundation of everything else that's moving forward. And at Sarah Lawrence, you are really merging both, it appears.
So you landed on a very important point. Everything you read right now is beginning to turn back to understanding why the liberal arts are that foundation, right? If you look to employers, if you look to the areas that are developing, and what does that mean? So at Sarah Lawrence, our undergraduate degree, the only undergraduate degree we give, is a Bachelor of Arts in the liberal arts. It's multidisciplinary. It's hands-on experience. That's always the single degree. No majors, no minors. The idea that you have to be able to work across all of these disciplines. And so what we see and hear are the liberal arts in action, right? So those points we were just making.
Yeah. And at Sarah Lawrence, you do it. So if you had to describe Sarah Lawrence's first 100 years in one defining idea or value, what would it be? And what is your strategy and guiding principle as the college enters its second century?
So in one defining word or value, that's a tough one, but here's what I will do. I will take that word humanity and say that has always been at the center of the way we think about our education. So that will mean and play out in different ways at different times, but it's always about empowering the individual to continue their development over their lifetime, and as they do that, to make important change in the world. So at different moments in our history, that meant having veterans come in on the GI Bill, men who came to Sarah Lawrence after World War II.
Yeah.
It's meant continuing education for in the 50s, 60s, and 70s of women who had had just a year or two of college. It's meant our new community college partnerships with Westchester Community College and Bronx Community College right now.
Yes, that's very exciting.
Really, so
very
it's
impactful.
Always about that, how to create that pebble that is going to send out all those circles over the lifetime of what our graduates do.
And we know higher education is facing unprecedented disruption from AI. I don't know if it's disruption or if but we'll say that from now. But there are demographic shifts and questions about value. How does Sarah Lawrence College stay nimble in a moment like this?
So You're absolutely right. There is disruption on so many fronts to traditional higher education in the United States. For Sarah Lawrence, the way that we stay adaptable and nimble are some of the things I've already talked to you about, that we are able to move to meet the needs of our students because we aren't sitting with a rigid curriculum that is looking only backwards. But we also recognize in the demographic shifts and in AI that we're going to need more modular forms of education. We've always been in the business of lifelong learning at Sarah Lawrence.
Yes.
So that we are looking at what our pre-college programs are doing. We're looking at our partnerships in Westchester. We're looking at graduate degrees, the master's degree that we have partnered with NYU Langone in genome health analytics.
Oh, that's so exciting.
So it's all about being able to take certain kinds of core values and pieces, turn them to meet the moment, the need, turn them for our students, for example, our undergraduates at Sarah Lawrence. And this is a way that we love being connected with the Business Council. Our undergraduates can do internships for academic credit during the academic year. So they don't separate
That's
the
so
doing
important.
of, the making
Yes.
of, from the theorizing of, the study of. They have the chance to constantly put that together.
Yeah.
So that's where we see that adaptability. And what I like to say to families, when you come to Sarah Lawrence, your student is going to invent themselves with a mentor. That's what an open curriculum requires of you, because they're going to go reinvent themselves 7 to 12 times over their lifetime.
Yes.
That's really the liberal arts advantage.
Yes, and the ability to have that resilience to make those changes is something that doesn't just happen. You have to absorb that, and you have to learn how to do that. Some people are better than others, but
They are, but what they learn and they experience is how to ask hard questions, how to confront a problem they've never seen, how to collaborate with others to get to those solutions, how not to take a narrow, single-minded approach. And then, if you come out of your undergraduate degree having done that, when you encounter that in the workplace, you're like, okay, I'm a problem solver. We're problem solvers. Let's take this to the next level.
So I think the skills that students gain from a liberal arts education, as you say, like critical thinking, problem solving, communication, creativity, they absolutely translate into real world preparedness. Are there any examples that you can give of something you're particularly proud of, or why are these skills so important, especially at this time?
So they are so important at this time because we have no idea, actually, in this kind of disruption that we're seeing, of the careers our students are going to have even 10 years from now, 5 years from now, right? The whole notion of the workplace changes. So I'll give you a couple of examples of current students. The great thing about being at a residential liberal arts college is you get to know these students. So we have a terrific student who came to us interested in film and photography, and he also played basketball. He ended up with internships in sports journalism. He was doing photographs at Madison Square Garden recently while he's still an undergraduate, and he's put all of that knowledge together in one way for today, and he knows how to go out tomorrow and put it together in a different way. And I could give you legions of those examples.
That's a great example. Yeah, I would love that. President Collins Judd, your perspective on how Sarah Lawrence is preparing students for a future we can't fully predict yet has been so insightful. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about Sarah Lawrence's distinctive approach to education in preparing students to navigate change, build meaningful careers, and make an impact beyond campus and into the community. You're listening to Leadership Unleashed on the BCW Podcast Network. We'll be right back.
This is the coming home you dream about.
But getting here was unimaginable.
At 25 weeks, I was hemorrhaging badly, losing amniotic fluid. Fortunately, I was taken to Westchester Medical Center, where they have the most advanced care in the Hudson Valley for high-risk pregnancies and premature babies. And because we were there, now we're here.
WMC Health, advancing care here. We're
back on the BCW Podcast Network. You're listening to Leadership Unleashed. I'm Marsha Gordon, President and CEO of the Business Council of Westchester, and we're continuing our conversation with President Cristle Collins Judd of Sarah Lawrence College. As the college approaches its centennial, we're diving deeper into how Sarah Lawrence is evolving its academic vision, expanding its role in the community, and preparing students of all types and ages for an ever-evolving world. We were just talking about that. How does Sarah Lawrence's particular style of education, President, prepare students for careers that they might not even know exist yet?
You know, one of the important things about a liberal arts education, and the particular version of it at Sarah Lawrence, is that our students have both skills and abilities. Many degrees will give people skills for the immediate next job, but it's those abilities, those critical abilities that are complementing those skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to write well, the ability to analyze problems, the ability to put yourself in a situation you've never been in, and have the confidence that you know how to pull other people together and figure out an answer to a problem that we didn't know existed. And that, for me, is the leg up that our students come out with, because they've already been pushed into that place to take skills and turn them into those kinds of abilities that will continue to translate across their lives.
It's very important, and especially in today's rapid technological change, how do you ensure that humanity remains at the center of education?
So we're very fortunate at Sarah Lawrence because that has always been centered in our education, and so we haven't been in the hard place that some institutions have, that they've moved further and further into a kind of technical education, which is important, but which can be devoid of that central piece of what is it to look at the world. Right? Looking at art changes the way that you know. What is it to understand text? What is it to read? What is it to be human? That's at the center of all of our education. And then how do we take that, what it is to be human, and translate that into the world that we live in? So, for example, in our environmental studies work, one of our environmental scientists is an urban hydrologist. She works with New York City on the flood planning. But one of the things I've heard her say, which has really helped me, is people sometimes think about the environment as just the natural, the unchanged somehow world. But actually, our environment, our world, our urban environment is our human habitat.
Yeah.
So once you put that human into that notion of habitat rather than some kind of separation, you approach the problems you're solving in a very different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the college also has a dedication to lifelong learning, not just for traditional students, but for adult learners and Westchester residents and beyond. How are you expanding or deepening the college's role as an educational resource for the community?
So we are very fortunate that Sarah Lawrence, from the moment of our founding, had this commitment to lifelong education. So our early childhood center has been around since the college was founded. Our work in pre-college programs. The Writing Institute celebrated.
I know many people who have been in your Writing Institute.
The Writing Institute is a very special Sarah Lawrence
It's
thing.
world-renowned, really.
It's world-renowned. We learned in COVID how to do it online as well, so we broadened our reach. But the Writing Institute, over 40 years, classes that can be a weekend, once a week, classes that you can return to, publishing or memoir. And so it's a great non-credit, non-degree way throughout one's life, because we have a high school program in the summers. We have all kinds of people who are working through that. And it's important for us that we know how to do that. What we've done with our centennial and what we've learned from the Writing Institute is to say, you know, there's so much of Sarah Lawrence that could be available to our broader community. How do we think about that? So we've launched something called the Signature Learning Community at Sarah Lawrence College, SLC at SLC,
Okay.
which is aimed at the 55-plus community.
I love that.
If you go to our website, slc.edu/signature, you can see it all. And these are short courses, 6 weeks long, once a week for 2 weeks, on every possible array of subjects, with a renowned art historian talking about a set of works in the Metropolitan Museum, with a writer talking about reading reading text together for a new interpretation. So Sarah Lawrence faculty.
Wonderful.
Both morning, evening, different times.
Wonderful.
And that's our big launch at our centennial moment.
That's very exciting, because as we know, as the boomers go to the next chapter in their lives, it's more important than ever to keep engaged with community, to keep your mind active, to keep learning, to keep growing, to keep thinking, to keep centered on humanity, everything that Sarah Lawrence does.
Absolutely right. And we recognize, and the Writing Institute is thriving, and we are excited to welcome people and to say there's even more of Sarah Lawrence we want to make available to you.
That's very, very exciting. We're very, very excited to hear that. And I have a feeling you are going to be, your classes are going to be very full in that program very soon.
We've had a very positive response. The first classes start in a couple of weeks, in fact.
That's great. Well, congratulations. So as president of Sarah Lawrence during this incredible milestone, what has surprised you most about leading the institution at this particular moment in time?
So when I started at the college 9 years ago.
It was 9 years, yes.
I knew that I was going to have the privilege of helping the college celebrate its centennial, or at least I hoped I was going to have the privilege of doing that celebration. And now I do have that privilege. And I could never have imagined in the period in between what we've gone through with COVID, with geopolitical situations, with everything that we've faced with our students.
It's been a turbulent world.
It's been a turbulent world, but what that has said to me, and what I've really learned, is Sarah Lawrence was founded at a time of a turbulent world. And it was founded in a lot of ways to be a response to that turbulent world, and a different kind of response. So what I have learned as we have prepared for the centennial is about the extraordinary resilience of our type of education, and just how critical it has been and how critical it will be. I've also learned to really appreciate the extraordinary adaptability of this college. People are stunned when I talk about all of the firsts that Sarah Lawrence had, right? And the ways that we've continued to do that. So we're looking forward to many more firsts as we continue in that work, and we expand what we're doing still in that timeless education, timely education, timeless values.
And we are so thrilled that you are part of the Business Council of Westchester, part of this community, that you give back so much to others in the community, that your students are engaged, that your faculty is engaged. That means the world to us. And we are excited to move on this path with you. As you grow, as you evolve, as you continue to change, and as you celebrate this 100th year. Congratulations to you. Before we wrap up, just quickly, we can write a dissertation on this, and many. What does the future of higher education look like?
Just quickly, what does the future of higher education look like? You referenced this earlier. As a sector, we have to continue to, and even more quickly, meet people where they are. We're going to see much more modular education, just-in-time education, education over someone's lifetime. So for higher education, first as a sector, we need to cross the boundaries of different kinds of institutions. So for Sarah Lawrence, that's meant our partnerships with community colleges,
Wonderful.
Our partnership with a medical school, to create that broader. We also, I think, have to not see AI as a threat, but instead to understand what the ethical positioning in relationship to it is, and to lead the way with how we move forward with that.
Well, I welcome being a teensy part of that journey. I hope it's a larger part, but having you share that with us today is so very special, and we thank you for everything you do. And thank you, President Collins Judd, on joining us today on Leadership Unleashed, and for sharing your vision for Sarah Lawrence. It's such a meaningful moment in the college's history. It's inspiring to hear how you're balancing innovation with the values that have defined Sarah Lawrence for over a century, and how you're preparing students to lead with curiosity, creativity, and purpose in our rapidly changing world. And want to thank again Westchester Medical Center for their support, and to our listeners for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Leadership Unleashed.
Thank you so much.
Be sure to check out the BCW Podcast Network's expansive lineup of shows: Leadership Unleashed, What's Trending, Advocacy and Politics Unplugged, The Member Spotlight, and Nonprofit Voices of Impact. The Business Council of Westchester is the county's largest business membership organization focusing on economic development and advocacy. With over 1,100 members, it is our mission to work for the profitability of our members and the prosperity of the Westchester community. To learn more about the Business Council of Westchester, please go to thebcw.org.